أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Jazakallah khair for all the brothers and sisters for logging in, inshallah, and attending. Today, my dear Muslims, to cover an important topic, the topic of verification. And I have notes from a while back from Shaykh Anjum, inshallah. At-tathabbut wa at-tabayyun, verification and authenticity. Now, those two words, tathabbut and tabayyun, they can be synonymous. They mean pretty much the same thing. And both of these matters are the matters of our deen, and both are dangerous because of the implications of not verifying. Firstly, a verse in the Quran from Surah 49, verse 6. It's the Surah Hujurat. Let me just find the verse, inshallah. Verse 6. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم ناظمين. That all you who believe, if a fasiq person comes to you with news, verify it, or else you will harm people in your own ignorance, and afterwards you'll become regretful for what you have done. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Hujurat, Surah 49, verse 6. Obviously, straight away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing the believers, that all you who believe, if a fasiq, there's two things here that you need to focus on. If a fasiq person comes, a sinful person, known for committing sins, and he comes to you with news, information, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanding us to verify it, double check, or else you will harm people out of your ignorance. If you don't check the news that the person is bringing, you can end up harming people out of your ignorance, and then after you'll be regretful. Because if you pass on the news without to verify, it might not be true. Because the fact that that person himself is fasiq makes him untrustworthy. So he could come to you with some news, and you didn't verify, and you just passed it on to someone else, and afterwards you realize it's not true. Then obviously you'll be in regret. And this is what the verse is talking about. And what we can understand about this particular verse in Surah Hujurat is the asbab al-nuzul, the circumstance of revelation. Under what circumstance was this verse revealed? So this verse was revealed, there's two narrations about it, but one of them it says about the Prophet ﷺ, he sent one man to collect zakat from some people. Now, this man that the Prophet ﷺ has sent, the people he was sent to collect zakat from, see, in Jahiliyyah, before they were Muslim, they had some issue amongst themselves. But anyway, obviously now they become embraced Islam, and they left the Jahiliyyah behind. Like many of us, we used to be Jahil. We never used to practice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala woke us up and guided us. And some of the stuff that we used to get up to in our Jahiliyyah, we left behind. And we don't ever want to go back to it. Like the hadith mentions that you hate to go back to the Jahiliyyah the way you hate to be thrown into the fire. So anyway, this man, he was sent to collect the zakat. And the people that he was sent to, they were so happy that they heard that a man is coming from the Prophet ﷺ to collect the zakat, and they all came out to greet this man. And when this man that he was sent, when he saw all these people that coming towards him, he got frightened, and he thought they were coming to attack him. So he just turned around and ran back. And he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he told him that, look, he went to collect the zakat, and these people, they came out to fight him and they tried to kill him. So obviously the Sahaba, when they heard this, they got very angry and they were ready to fight the people, you see. But the Prophet ﷺ, he waited until he met the person who, or one of the people that he was sent, his ambassador to send the zakat, to verify what actually happened. And obviously the Prophet ﷺ told this man that, look, I sent my messenger to you to collect the zakat, and what happened? He said that basically like you tried to kill him, etc. The man, he said, no one came to us. No one even came to us. So obviously what happened, obviously the man who was sent, he mistakenly, he thought they'd come to attack him, and he just turned around and went back. But you see where the Prophet ﷺ, he verified with the person what happened with this incident. Because, and obviously if you see the dangers of, if the Prophet had not verified what really happened, he could have been gone to war with these people, because they said they refused to pay the zakat. So this was the reason for the revelation of this particular verse in Surah Hujurat. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah An-Nisa verse 94 that, O you who believe, when you go out in the cause of Allah, verify and say not to anyone who greets you, you are not a believer. So the initial thing as a Muslim, if another person, he says to us, Assalamu alaikum, that is an indication this person is a Muslim in general. Obviously, if the man is there and he's wearing a cross and a white collar, you can assume that he's probably just some Christian who wants to just incline you and he's saying salam. But in general, if someone greets you with salam, it's an indication this person is a Muslim. But you do not say, the verse was saying, do not say the one who greets you by the salam that you are not a believer, seeking the goods of this worldly life. There are much more profits and booties with Allah, even as He is now, so were you yourself before, till Allah conferred His favors. Therefore be cautious in discrimination, and Allah is ever aware of what you do. SubhanAllah. Obviously, in this particular instance it's mentioned about in the jihad, someone could very easily just say, look, this person not Muslim, this person kafir, hoping to take his ghanima, hoping to take the booty. At-tathabbut and tabayyun are synonymous, and in the tafsir, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala an, in the verse that I just quoted, he said these two words are synonymous, they can be interchangeably used. So like we said, at-tathabbut is verification, and at-tabayyun is like authenticity. So you see, even in the English, so someone could say, look, he's verifying it, or he can say, oh, he's checking if it's authentic. You see, it's like saying the same thing. So the two words, they can be used interchangeably. At-tathabbut is at-tuhuri. At-tuhuri is like the inspector in the Arabic language. At-tuhuri. Let me just at-tuhuri. be like this, at-Tuhri. And so it's commonly used, like for example, the inspector at-Tuhri, like for example, the one who witnesses exhausting effort to seek the night of power. You see, so he's inspecting for the signs. And the Salaf, they describe at-Tuhri as verification, as exhausting effort with the intention of seeking the truth of certain sayings or actions, i.e., exhausting effort to seek the reality of a certain thing to be true. So, as we mentioned, obviously, my dear brothers, the previous verse where we mentioned about the fasik, and it's coming to you with news. So, there's two elements here. The one is the person, the reporter, and the second is the news. In Islam, what we call the news or the report, we say the khabar, and the person who's reporting it is like the rawi, and the rawi he narrates the riwayah, the narration. And the Prophet ﷺ said, and that's narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas, that whoever spreads news from one to you, he spreads news from one to one about you. This is about talking about the namam, the one who's spreading news from one place to another. And you'll come across people like this. I'm sure you have people who are just always talking, gossiping, speaking about so and so. Did you hear so and so did this? So and so doing that. So and so bought this. So and so got a new car. So and so being accused. Like, it's some people that just always talking about others. And obviously, my dear Muslims, sometimes you know, we as well, we listen to these people, and rather than reminding them, look, this is not is your nothing concerning you. It's better if you don't speak about this thing. And the same thing. If he is one of those people, as the hadith mentioned, he's spreading news from one place to another. No doubt, he'll be spreading news about you as well, from one to another. Obviously, the hadith condemn this type of behavior. Rather, things that don't concern us, we should not be concerned with it. Sometimes people have this nature of asking about things, which has no concern for them. And it's a part of a good character of a Muslim that he leaves things that don't concern him. To verify, my dear Muslims, is an honorable thing. And we should have ta'anni. Ta'anni is to verify slowly and not to be quick and not to hurry. So when we want to verify something, we should take our time and we should not rush. Imam al-Tabari, he said in the two recitations, the fatabayyanu, fatathabbatu, they said they are both synonymous. And we should be patient and we should not hurry and speak or talk about anything which could affect Muslims or the Ummah, whether thoughts, ideas transmitted by people, without to know their circumstance and the news and the implications. A beautiful quote here from Imam Shafi, rahimahullah. He said that verification is a major pillar of our deen. Obviously, my dear Muslims, the verification is important. One of the reasons why, because it will help us to distinguish between truth and falsehood. And there will always be goodness in the truth, and there will never be harm in it, and there will always be harm in falsehood, and there will never be goodness in it. So like the hadith, it says that whoever speaks the word of truth in front of a tyrant ruler and is killed for it, he is the greatest jihad, to speak a word of truth in front of a tyrant ruler and be killed for it. So even to speak the word of truth in front of a tyrant ruler and he kills you, that's not harm. You speaking the truth, that's not something bad. Rather, the hadith, it praises it. Another thing, my dear Muslims, is to remind you that you should speak the truth wherever you are, even if it be against your own self. And also to remind you that every bid'ah is a misguidance. And obviously the hadith, like it says, and every misguidance is in the hellfire. It is important that we verify news to make sure that we are following the truth. And those of you obviously who study ulum al-hadith, these hadiths that today that we narrate, these hadith, if you study ulum al-hadith, they've been checked and verified so meticulously. From all the people is been narrated, from so and so heard from so and so, from so and so heard from the Sahaba, and the Sahaba heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There could be like 30 people in one chain of narration. He heard it from him, he heard it from him. And those people who we call the muhaddith, they will check every single person to make sure they are trustworthy, make sure they are real people. They will check the person, his full biography, to make sure these hadiths can be authentically traced back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's why many hadith, even for the slightest little thing which you might think is little, the muhaddith, he will chuck it away, or he will declare it as da'if. On something, there was one muhaddith, he went to a place where there was a man, he he pretended to have something in his hand, and he called an animal. And when the animal obviously came, there was nothing in his hand. And just because of that, he refused to accept the hadith from this man. Because if he could lie to the animal, he didn't accept it so stringently like this. You have the famous example of the differences between Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim. Obviously, Imam Muslim was a student of Imam Bukhari. They're both collectors of hadith. And you'll even see, sometimes, people were very quick to say, oh, this hadith is da'if, and so therefore it's definitely da'if. But what you can have, he could differ on his criteria, you see, of the hadith. That's why you'll have someone else who's a famous muhaddith, he will say it's sahih, or for him it will be hasan, it will be good, authentic, you'll accept it. Not necessarily because obviously he's misguided or whatever, but he could have a different criteria of what he accepts as hadith. So one of the classic examples between Imam Bukhari and Muslim is that, let's say for example, there's two people, and he narrated he heard from him, and they both live in Tower Hamlets. Obviously, there's going to be any hadith from the Prophet in Tower Hamlets, but as an example, so if you look back, so the two people, they live in the same borough. Someone could say that's enough evidence for me that they met each other. But another person could say, look, I'm gonna accept this. I say this is the saying of the Prophet. I want to be 100% sure. It's not good enough for me that they both lived in Tower Hamlet. I need to see proof that they both actually met each other. And if I can't see it, then I won't accept the hadith. So little things like this, you'll see that why people differ in regards to grading of hadith. And that's how the deen has been preserved for us, all the way from the saying that of the Prophet ﷺ, his actions, etc. It has been preserved like this meticulously, and this is how it has come to us today. There's one incident that took place when, at the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he was the Khalif, he asked once in a gathering that, does anybody know such and such man? So, and can he vouch for him? So one man, he stood up and he said, I'll vouch for him. And so Umar bin Khattab, he asked the man some questions. So one of the things he asked, he said, are you his neighbor? Well, the man, he said, no. Another thing he asked was, have you done business with him? The man said, no. Then another thing he asked, have you traveled with him? The man said, no. So the Umar, maybe you saw him just praying in the masjid. And the man said, yes. Umar bin Khattab said to the man, go, for you don't know him. The reason why I mention is again, obviously someone who's going to vouch for someone, we need to verify that this person knows him. And this particular issue, especially in today's society, it happens a lot when brothers and sisters, they vouch for other brothers and sisters for marriage. So they were like, you met the brother for 5 minutes in the masjid. So someone comes to you and says, what do you think about this brother? He's like, yeah, mashallah, it's fantastic brother, yeah, marry your daughter to him. But the thing is, and you say you know him. 5 minutes in a little conversation does not mean you know that person. This is why Umar bin Khattab, he asked all these questions. So like, for instance, if your neighbor, he will know you very well. You lived with him, for many years, etc. He'll know he'll know you very well. Someone you travel with him, you'll know their habits, etc. Someone you've done business with him, you can see their characteristic. So you know them more better if you have these kind of relationship. If you just met someone for 5 minutes, that doesn't give you can't vouch for that person and say you truly know them. So my dear Muslims, this is just on a side note. Be very careful of this particular issue, where you give this vouch for people and you don't know much about them, and you've maybe met them for just a few minutes, you maybe met them for a very short time, and you haven't had proper interaction with them, you haven't traveled with them, you haven't done business with them, etc. And you could end up vouching for someone who may not even be a good person of good character, may be a person even of good deen. And my dear Muslims, if we do not verify, we can end up causing a lot of harm to ourselves as well as to others. And I just want to give some examples of instances that took place where they were in a rush to pass on news and they never properly checked it and verified it. Because if you pass on something, especially about Muslims, about them committing some kind of sin, and you just pass it on and you never bother to check and verify whether it's genuine, did it really happen? The person, if there's a drunk person comes to tell you, and so and so brother's a thief, the guy is drunk, you're not going to accept it. I can't take from this man. So there was a subhanallah, there was a YouTube video where some of the brothers we even know, they were spreading this video of there was a Muslim sister. She was khimar jilbab. She was in a betting shop. Now from the video, all it appears that she's doing something at the counter. So you have the glass kind of panel, and she's interacting with the person behind the glass panel. And people are spreading this video, and they were saying, astaghfirullah, how can a Muslim sister be gambling? So, at that time, I said to the people who were passing, how do you know that's what really happened? Yes, she's in the betting shop, and she's doing some kind of something, interacting with the person. Maybe, and I said, look, maybe she's new to this country. Maybe she don't realize it's a betting shop. Maybe she's gone in there and, I don't know, she wants to exchange some money or something. We should try and look for excuse. Problem we have today, my dear Muslims, is we automatically assume the worst. With Muslims, we should always be thinking the good. So even in this video, we should think, no, that can't be right. There must be some logic explanation. There must be some mistake here. We shouldn't automatically jump and think, Astaghfirullah, yeah, this is how the youth are like today, this and that. So I said, look, how do you know that? Maybe she knows a betting shop. Maybe she went in just to exchange some money. Look, I've got £10 note. I need two £5 notes. Maybe she's not actually gambling at all. Obviously, she shouldn't go into a betting shop to exchange the money. But maybe that's what's really happened. And the video is obviously, like I was saying a while ago with the brother, now with modern technology, just one retweet, one quick press of a button, and it goes out to hundreds and thousands of people. And then it gets spreads like wildfire. But in actual fact, the question is, can you be 100% sure that this particular person was betting? You can't say that for sure. Did you verify the one who first sent the video? Did anyone make any attempt to contact the person? How do you know this is, and where did it come from? From what source? Because we know there are people out there who are known, as we mentioned earlier, known for spreading gossip, spreading news from one place. We know there are people out there who want to spread lies about Muslims, lies about Islam, in order to put Islam down, in order to make the Muslims look bad. So this is why, my dear Muslim, obviously we've got to tread very carefully. And obviously, let's say for example, this person, or in the video it didn't show this particular sister's face, but you start spreading it everywhere, and let's say someone recognizes that person, and now the video is going around everywhere. Think about the harm you do to that person's reputation. And then later on you might find out, like I said, it could be someone, very recently to this country. Then realize, like I said, it's a betting shop. But now you've spread the video everywhere. You spread it everywhere, and now you've harmed the person's reputation. And this is one of the things with when you pass on news and you don't verify. Once it leaves your mouth, you can't take it back. And so this is why we have to be very careful. And many years ago, I gave a Jummah khutbah about this particular issue. And I mentioned once, like for example, we should never do anything to put ourselves in a position where someone will doubt us. So there was an example once, there was a Muslim brother I know, and he was waiting outside a gambling shop for his friend. So I approached the brother and I said, do you realize, first and foremost, obviously the Muslim always think good. Do you realize, brother, that you're standing outside a betting shop? So he was like, oh yeah, I know, but I'm just waiting for my friend. I'm not here for that, obviously. So I said to the brother, look, it's better if you stand a little bit away from that particular shop and stand over there and wait for your friend, just a few more meters away, because people will start to doubt you. People will think, what's that brother doing at the doors of the betting shop? Obviously, rather we should always think there must be some good explanation. Not automatically jump and think, yeah, he's gambling, he's a gambler. So like I said, he's waiting for his friend. He don't realize that, look, this is not the best place to stand and wait for my friend. So that's why I said just to move away if you have, so do not cause a doubt to be cast upon yourself. Because the nature of human beings is people, they will, if you behave suspiciously, they will suspect you. So the thing is, my dear Muslim, we should never try to obviously behave suspiciously and not put ourselves in a position where people will doubt us. And the example I forgot to mention, the Jummah khutbah I gave, there was, like I said, look, someone, let's say for example, he was very thirsty and he wanted a glass of water. So he can now, let's say there's a pub here, and over there is a halal restaurant. But this person, he decides to go into the pub, and he wants to have a glass of water, or even let's say orange juice. What? Don't go in there. Go to the restaurant and get orange juice. But someone he'll turn around and he'll say, "But yeah, I'm not drinking. I'm just getting orange juice." But that's not allowed, because you cannot enter a place where people are known for this. People are disobeying Allah. And if you go inside the pub, the thing is, in the people's mind, they will just see you go inside the pub. They say, "Look, this is a Muslim brother, and what's astaghfirullah, I see him go inside a pub." Obviously, what he should not go in there, even though he's ordering something halal with orange juice. He should go to the restaurant, the halal restaurant, and order his orange juice there. So I gave this example, and after the khutbah, there was one English reader brother, and he came up to me and he said, "Right, it's very important you mentioned that point." He said because his parents, obviously they were kuffar, and they used to own a pub, and he was telling me that whenever he would go and visit them, he would always like go through the back. There was like a back passage to the pub, and enter through the back of the building, obviously to visit his parents, to obviously maintain the ties of kinship. And he said, and he would never walk in through the front door, because for that same reason he didn't want people to doubt him. See, so he could just think, what, I know I'm a Muslim and I know I don't drink alcohol. If people think bad, so be it. Not really, shouldn't have that mentality. If you're gonna do something, if you can avoid the doubt, where you're gonna put yourself in a position of where people doubt you, my dear Muslim, you should avoid it. Like this brother, he went in through the back alleyway kind of thing to the back of the pub. So he went to visit his kuffar parents. So this is why I mentioned, obviously, because why I mention all of these stories, because then the nature of people, they will assume bad, and they will pass on news. So they will say, "Look, astaghfirullah, I saw this brother the other day. I saw him going to a pub." And what should really happen, if you have doubt, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you doubt, verify. So let's say, for example, we saw a brother, he was going inside a pub, and we know this brother. Give him a ring, call him, say, I saw you go inside a pub the other day. Like, what's going on? And maybe he'll turn around and say, "Look, my parents are non-Muslims. They own that pub." Or maybe he'll turn around and he'll say, "Look, I was desperate. I need to use the toilet. I couldn't find anywhere else." So then you can see, oh, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, now it makes sense. But if you didn't verify, and you rang up all the other akis, and you're like, "Oh, astaghfirullah, did you see so and so? I saw so and so. He was at the pub. He drinks alcohol." They're gonna ring up 10 other people, and 10 other people now with the social media. He's gonna put on Facebook. He's gonna put his picture up and said, "This brother, beware! Don't marry, sisters, beware! Don't marry this brother. He drinks alcohol." Before you know it, it's gone all around the world and disaster. And then it comes back. Who initially who pushed this news out? The guy who didn't verify it. And now, as the verse it says, afterwards you will regret what you have done. Obviously, imagine that. Imagine you were that person, and that news now spread all around the world. Well, you can't take it back. You now damage this person's reputation, and not only that, you damage your own reputation, because now you're known as a person who passes on news without verifying it. So this is why the Muslim is very, very important that we verify, especially of someone doing some wrongdoing. Like I said, with the Muslim, we should always think good. This is sadly one of those things that we fail. We should always think good of other Muslim. If we hear something bad, some news come to us, our immediate reaction should not be, yeah, that's just how it is these days. It should be thinking, no, Muslim doesn't do that. Are you sure, bro? Have you verified it? Question the person who's come to you with the news. Question him, how did you verify it? Tell me. How did you check? Maybe it was this. Maybe this is what really happened. How did you go about checking and verifying it? And the Salaf, they used to say about people, who give testimony. So, like for example, if we're in a Sharia court and we give testimony, the testimony has to be like how they describe it, like the sun in the middle of the day, in a clear day, no clouds. So on a clear day at midday. What that means is in the middle of, for example, summer, no clouds in the sky, 12 noon, you look up, would you have any doubt if someone to say, is the sun there or not? You'd be like, what are you talking about? Of course it's there. Look, it's so clear, like this. When you give testimony, it needs to be like this. Beyond doubt. I'm 100% sure that I saw it. Or I'm 100% sure I heard it. Like this, not like, yeah, I'm 50% sure it was him. If you're going to be like that, you don't come forward and you give testimony. That's why even the people now, for the fornication, for the zina, you need 4 eyewitnesses. We know this from the Quran. 4 eyewitnesses. 3 is not good enough. If you got 3, it's not good enough to convict you. And the people who give the testimony, it needs to be like they saw the action taking place, like that. And they need to be, I'm 100% sure I saw so-and-so and doing so-and-so. Testimony like that. Not like, yeah, well, I know this guy, he had some bad characteristics. It's got to be him. Or I'm pretty sure it was him, but I can't say for 100% certain. But I'm pretty sure. It cannot be like this, my dear Muslim. It needs to be 100%. I'm clear. This is what I saw. This is my testimony, like this. And sadly, obviously, in the kufr system, you have people accusing people, and they're not sure. People come give testimony, even in the trials. You see people in the jury, he can't make up his mind. So how they're supposed to convict people is supposed to give beyond doubt verdict. I'm 100% sure. I'm convinced this person is guilty. So when the jury can't decide, and they keep on going back, and they keep on coming back, and they keep on going back, and they keep on coming back, that in itself is a proof that it's not beyond doubt. How is it after all of that you can get a conviction? And it happened. I think there was a case recently of some Muslim. I think the jury went back like 3-4 times because they weren't sure, but still they came back with a unanimous verdict. So without verification, my dear Muslims, you can end up, obviously, like I said, you can end up destroying someone's life. And not only that, you can end up damaging your own reputation. Because you start accusing someone of some sin and it's not true, people no longer regard you as trustworthy. So why is it next time you come out with some news, why should anyone believe you? And obviously the famous incident that I mentioned about the ifk of Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was accused, when she was slandered of committing zina. Obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exonerated her from this. And the verse, it mentions that why the believers, when they heard it, not think good of themselves. The first, like I mentioned, the first reaction, oh, so and so, he did this. The first reaction, we should think good. No, that can't be. If I say, look, that brother there, I saw him, he goes nightclubbing. I said, bro, and I said to another brother, he said that his initial reaction was that can't be. I know this brother, he's a good brother, he's a good practicing brother. He prays. I don't know of any bad from him. I can't be right. And then we asked that person who's come with us to news, say, bro, why do you say that? What is your evidence? And then we make inquiries to the person who's bringing news. Not we just accept it and just think, astaghfirullah, is that what really happened? Oh, that's very bad. And this is the same thing with the slander of Aisha when she was accused. The people, they didn't verify it and they just passed it straight away. But the verse in the Quran, it mentioned that when it came on their tongue and they immediately repeated it. That's how extra emphasis is saying that's how quickly people pass it on. People pass on news straight away now, especially of things that it's none of their business. It doesn't benefit them at all. And they pass news about people from one people to another. And obviously in this particular instance, Allah mentioned about why didn't they produce 4 witnesses? So if someone's going to be accused of the zina, where's your 4 witnesses? If you can't provide 4 witnesses, eyewitnesses, then you are the liar. And that's why in Islam, the punishment for false testimony is 80 lashes. If you accuse someone of some sin and you don't have no evidence, there is what we call blowback, if you like. There is something you will receive punishment for accusing someone. And this doesn't happen in the Kuffar society. You see in these magazines and stuff, newspapers, gossip magazines. It's called gossip magazine because it's a Kuffar way of life. Yeah, their deen are gossip, and it'll say, "Oh, look, so and so, with so and so having an affair." Where's all the evidence? Where's the witnesses? Oh, I don't really have it. Okay, but where's the comeback? Nothing happens to them. In Islam, if you accuse someone, then you just make it up because you don't have evidence, you're gonna get 80 lashes for it. So obviously that will make you cautious not to accuse someone. See, in the Kufr society, people accuse someone how he's funding terrorism, he's part of a prescribed organization. Where's the evidence? Put the Muslim on 9 months on bail with all these restrictions, and then drop the case. You've damaged the person's reputation. You've harmed his family. You've raided his house, taken his stuff, and then you just drop the case. Where's the comeback for you? Someone should be tapping you on the shoulder and say, hold on a second. I thought you said this person was you suspected of doing some wrongdoing, and you didn't bring no evidence forward. So you falsely accused this person of something, some crime, some wrongdoing. So you're the one who should receive some punishment. That's how it happened in Islam. You accuse someone like this, you need to provide evidence. Not like, oh yeah, so and so did something, and I'll give you the evidence 6 months later when we have a trial. If you don't have the evidence, then you don't bring the accusation forward. You see, like for example with the zina, if you don't have the 4 witnesses, don't come forward. If you don't have evidence of the person's wrongdoing, don't come forward. That's why in the Sharia, the just law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is consequences of bringing false accusation. And that's why it will protect people and protect people's honor, of people being slandered, etc. Because the people will know that, look, if I don't provide the evidence and provide the witnesses, etc., I will be the one who will have faced punishment for it. But obviously in the kufr system, they don't have anything like this. And this issue, my dear Muslims, of people not verifying is one of the things that in today's society that the kuffar have, the non-Muslims, the disbelievers, they have picked up on. They know that the nature of people is they don't verify and they don't check and they pass on news. And this example is particularly used in today's mass media. And I remember this incident took place from of all people, Zakir Naik was narrating. I remember a few years back I heard this on the TV. He was saying that someone came to him and said, you know those Taliban, they're very bad people. They beat up women in the street. So Zakir Naik asked this man, he said, how do you know? Obviously he's checking the person. How do you know this really happened? Because one of the things you have to check is what really happened and check the person who's telling you. So Zakir Naik questioned the man, how do you know this happened? The man said, I saw it with my own eyes. So you think he's eyewitness. He's an eyewitness. He saw it. And so Zakir Naik questioned him. He said, where did you see it? He said, I saw it on BBC. He saw it on the TV. And my dear Muslims, obviously this is another problem we have today. People, they treat the TV like is nothing but pure truth. Nothing but haqq. And they treat it like everything they see on TV, that's if it weren't true, it wouldn't be on TV. But we know the reality is these media companies, they're owned and run by the kuffar, the non-Muslims. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in this particular verse that even if a sinful Muslim comes to you with news, verify it. So by qiyas ala, by great analogy, the kuffar, the non-Muslims, they are even more untrustworthy because they are the fasiqun. They are the greater fasiq. So by great analogy, news that comes from them, from their mouths, from their media organization, should be verified. And this is the problem we have today. People, they just think, oh look, it's on the TV, BBC News said it, David Cameron said it, so this is really what they do. And they don't realize that, look, that these people are not trustworthy. If we had that mentality, that generally that, look, if a fasiq person, a sinful person is bringing me news, so therefore I shouldn't automatically accept it. Rather, I should verify. That's what the verse is talking about. If a sinful person comes to you, verify the news. Don't just pass it on. Don't just accept it. Verify and check. Did it really happen? Go to ask the person who's being accused. If you can, ask them, look, this is what so-and-so person said. What really happened? If the kuffar media are telling you news about so-and-so Muslims over there, they do such and such, contact them over there and ask them, well, what's going on? What happened? Don't just think, oh look, these people there, the kuffar, the Jews and the Christians, the Hindus, they're saying, oh, Muslims did such and such. You're not trustworthy. I can't accept it. That's why, the famous example happened, the Isra wal Miraj, when the Prophet went from Mecca to Masjid al-Aqsa and ascended up the heavens. When he came back, the mushrikeen, they said to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq that did you hear what your friend has been recently saying? He said that last night he went in one night, he went all the way from Masjid al-Haram all the way to Masjid al-Aqsa and then ascended up to heaven. This is obviously Kafir saying to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he said, if he said it, then I believe him. You see his approach. Abu Bakr said he realized this person, this kafir telling me, oh, the Prophet ﷺ said such and such. Abu Bakr saying, treats him like, look, I don't trust you. For you telling me that he said such and such. But his wisdom, he said, if he said it, then I believe him. So this is obviously a key point that we should remember. If some Hindu, some Christian is coming telling me, oh, this brother over there that you hang around with, he does such and such sin. I saw this and that. Our initial reaction should be, first of all, I don't trust you because you're kafir. We don't trust the kuffar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that they are liars. We should not have the reaction that, look, he said, oh, really? Thanks, John. You know, we should think, no, this is my brother. He's a Muslim. He wouldn't do something like that. Why are you saying that? What's your evidence? You quiz that person. Show me your proof. This is how. So our reaction should be like how like how in the West they say innocent until proven guilty. It needs to be literally like that. Obviously, the kuffar they say that. In reality, it don't work like that. In reality, if you're Muslim, you are guilty, and then unless you can prove your innocence, that's how it works with us. But how it really should be is this person is innocent until the evidence is there and they are convicted. Then they are guilty. Unless you can bring me the evidence, I can verify and check this person hasn't done anything wrong. So again, my brother, I'm trying to give obviously examples of, you see, the dangers of not verifying stuff and passing it on. And if you're gonna accuse and pass on news, you need to have that conviction inside you. Yes, I believe this happened. I've checked it. I've verified it. How many times when you question someone about something, he said, "Oh, look, so and so brother, he done so and so sister this," and you sometimes you quiz the person and say, "Brother, how do you know? Did you see it?" I said, "No." "Did you speak to the person about it?" He said, "No." I said, how do you know this happened?" "I heard from so and so. He said, oh, this was the case. And so, this person is fasik fajr and is not trustworthy." So, and that's what I said, like, initial reaction should be, you don't pass it on. The person who's bringing you news, he's not trustworthy. So if he's not trustworthy, the news because he could lie. He can make something up. Let's say, one brother, he has an issue with another brother. He wants to damage his reputation. So he'll go and maybe tell someone else, look, that so-and-so brother, he drinks alcohol. So now he passes it on to another person. So yeah, you heard about so-and-so. He secretly drinks alcohol. He passes it on to another one. Before you know it, the whole village, the whole town, it's become, oh, so-and-so, so now his reputation has been ruined out of that because he has some grudge against that person. Now, if our initial reaction was that, look, the person who is bringing us the news, my dear Muslim, is not trustworthy, or that you're accusing someone of doing some sin, some crime, that you need to verify. Obviously, if it's some good news, you don't need to verify it. So let's say, the brother, mashallah, let's say he's had a baby. Say, mashallah, mabruk, alhamdulillah, when's the akika? You have that. No, I can't accept that. I need to verify, did it really happen? It doesn't have to be like, with the good news, you don't have to, verify it. But if you accuse someone of some sin, some wrongdoing, you must check and verify. Because this obviously will be damaging to that person. It could be damaging to yourself as well. Again, my dear Muslims, I'll give you another example Once I met this brother from Algeria. Obviously, back in the 80s, I believe, obviously there was when the French they went in and they were massacring the Muslims. This brother, he was from Algeria, and he was telling me of an incident where the French army members, they were dressing up, some of them were dressing up to look like Muslims, and they were going around and they were killing other Muslims. And obviously, the people, obviously, they started thinking that, look, oh, these people, they're killing their own. When in fact, those people were the ones who were trying to fight the French and to liberate their land. But now what happened in the eyes of the people, they now see, oh, look, these people, they're fighting against us. But in actual fact, it wasn't them. And this was one of the things, the tactics that the French were using at that time to fight against the Muslims. But you see, because people didn't verify and they checked, they should think good. Look, this can't be. First of all, the French is telling you this, and a Muslim, why would he kill his own brother? It doesn't make sense. If they had verified and they looked into it, they would have found that this was not true. If you pass on news, my dear Muslims, without verification and checking, it could even be the difference between life and death. There was once a case where someone, a sister, she went through her husband's phone. Obviously, she shouldn't do that. And they pressed the redial, and it went through to the police. Now, the immediate reaction was, my husband, he's working for the police. Now, again, I just want you to, my dear Muslim, I just want you to think about this for a second. First, what should be our first reaction? Should be, we think good of Muslims. And we think of there must be a logical explanation behind it. Maybe he's calling the police. Maybe there's some inquiry. Maybe they're taking they maybe took a raid, they want his stuff back. Maybe they're ringing him to give his stuff back from a raid. Maybe they contact him for something, maybe they dropped his case. Maybe there's some genuine reason why, he had to call the police. Maybe to find out about, his bail condition or this and that. We don't automatically assume that, oh look, because the number for the Metropolitan Police come up, he's a spy. He's working for the police. You see? And you didn't verify and you check and you automatically jump to conclusions. And then now you spread it everywhere. And things like this, it happened. I heard about this case and it turned out it wasn't true. There was no evidence to prove that this person was spying, for the police, working against the Muslims. No evidence behind it. And obviously nowadays you have this problem where people, they accuse, oh, this brother there, he's working for the police. Obviously, to ally with the kuffar against the Muslims, to have this tawalli, to help them to fight against the Muslims, to fight against Islam, is something kufr akbar. It will take you outside the fold of Islam. You become kafir, become murtad. But you see, if that's why I said that it could be when you pass on news without verifying, it could be the difference between life and death. Because someone is helping the kuffar to fight against the Muslims, is something apostasy. But if you pass it on and it's not true, after the person has been executed for apostasy, you can't get glue the head back on. You see how dangerous it is. It could go on beyond just damaging someone's reputation. So my dear Muslims, we need to be very careful and like we need to check and verify, and we must give Muslims the benefit of the doubt, and we must think good of them. And which obviously we should not spy on one another, and we should not look for the faults in the people. And the big point is, like I mentioned earlier, don't just trust what the kuffar say, what the non-Muslims say, because of their own kufr or their own disbelief, that in itself it makes them untrustworthy. We should not treat their media and their outlets as just accept it as the truth, especially when they're speaking about Muslims. Even today, I was watching the news and they were saying, they need to show the world that Islamic State, oh, they rape women, and they do this and they do that, and all these lies are being pushed out 24 hours a day. For what purpose? To turn the Muslims against them. And a lot of these incidents that took place, or supposedly have took place, they never happened. If you look, do your own research and you look into some of these things, there was a picture of some women in a cage in the back of a truck, and it was being spread everywhere that look, ISIS or Islamic State, they are selling women, taking them to the marketplace, and they're selling them. Obviously, one Facebook post, one retweet, it's going everywhere. And what it actually turned out to be was some women in Egypt, they were doing a protest. They put themselves in a cage doing a protest. Obviously, that picture was being used to damage the reputation of those Muslims over in Syria and Iraq. And the person, they never verified it. Where did this picture come from? Someone obviously, they found out where this picture really came from, and they exposed one of those, the lies. You see, and this is one of the things, this is what you call propaganda. This is a propaganda warfare, when they use to spread lies about people, to destroy their reputation, to turn people away from them. There was another incident, Ustad Abu Barah, he narrated, there was another picture of, there was a woman, she was pinned down to the floor by a group of men. And the news went out that, look, oh, ISIS rapes women. And it turns out that picture was a screenshot from a Hindi film. So the question is, what's going on? But the problem you see, where people, they don't have this concept of verifying, and in fact they hope it's true. When they have a grudge against someone, if someone comes in news, oh, so and so did this. If you already have a grudge against that person, and something comes with news, forget verifying it. We don't need to. Why? Because now that gives me ammunition for me to justify my hatred towards such and such person. And people will pass on news without to verify, and they will harm themselves and they will harm others. Another example here I put down, a bit of a funny example. I'm sure you all remember this. I was a few years back when Sheikh Anjem, he was given a talk. I think it's something about economic system, and he mentioned JSA. Obviously, I think this came in the media, and he was making a joke about JSA, and he said, jihad seekers allowance. And the kuffar, they took that, and they, from, I think it's probably about 2 hour talk, and they cut out that little bit, and they said, look, he's encouraging people to go on job seekers allowance and then use the money to fund jihad. And this is the kuffar media. This is what they do. They will not stop at any opportunity to tarnish the image of Islam, to tarnish the reputation of Muslims. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they will never be pleased with you. They will have this hatred, and they seek to harm us severely. So they will use their media, and they will use all these avenues to harm whatever they can to damage the image of Islam and of Muslims. That's why, their media source is not trustworthy. So many people don't even watch the mainstream news, BBC and ITN, etc. Because to them it's not trustworthy. It's a load of lies, a load of rubbish. Thus we take our news from trustworthy Muslims. So this is, in short, this is my it's more of an advice to all the Muslims, to all the people in generally as well, but in particular the Muslims. Be careful, my dear brothers and sisters. Be careful to verify news, and only take you. Same as laptop. Okay, how do you? Yeah, well saying. So we should, if any fasik, any sinful person comes to us with news that obviously we know is not is known for committing sins. Any kafir comes to us with news, we should verify it. If anyone comes, even if someone we know is trustworthy comes to his news with such about such a Muslim, he did such and such, we should verify it. Wherever we can, we should verify, and we should check. And we should, another point I want all you all to take away, inshallah, we should always think good of Muslims. Whether we know them or we don't know them, we should always think good of Muslims. And if we hear of them being accused of some kind of sin, our immediate reaction should be, no, he's a Muslim. He wouldn't do something like this. And the person who's bringing us the news, we need to look to who that person is. And we need to question that person, how they come about with this news. How did they verify and check? And also, my dear Muslims, we should give the benefit of the doubt. We should think to ourselves, there must be some explanation behind it. It can't be like this. And until you verify and you check and you find out if it could, you might verify and you kind of check. Yes, maybe this brother, he does secretly, he might drink alcohol. And you verify and you check. But the question, what if he isn't? What if it's not like that? What if he doesn't? But you've now passed it on to the whole world. So be very careful. And another advice I give to all the Muslims is, don't involve yourself in things that don't concern you. Things that are none of your business. Don't inquire about, what is that person doing there? Don't listen in to your neighbors. Don't look through them people's keyholes and stuff like this. Don't go through people's phones. Don't always be busy. What is such and so person doing? Rather be more busy and look towards your own sin and what you're doing. And look towards your own path in life. Look to contemplate over your own situation, what will be on the day of judgment, and what you will have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. And also, my dear Muslims, remember, obviously today there is a huge propaganda taking place because of the huge we're going to use the word explosion. Huge explosion in mass media, in Facebook, in Twitter, in YouTube, etc. The kuffar obviously are using these tools day and night to tarnish the reputation of Muslims, tarnish the reputation of sincere Muslims because of their own hatred of Islam, using these things to tarnish the image of Islam. So be careful and don't trust the kuffar. The golden rule, don't trust the kuffar. Remember these points, inshallah, and always take your news from trustworthy sources, inshallah. And if you check and you verify and you exhaust effort, inshallah, you'll be safe from falling under that verse of those people who pass on news and they realize it's not true and they end up in regret. So this is my short advice to you. I hope inshallah you'll ponder and you'll think about these points, and inshallah Allah subhanahu give us the tawfiq to act upon all of these things and to check and to verify, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.